Stanley, Scuba, Sailing, and Adventures. Scuba diving, the Turks and Caicos, dive site, Brandywine. The Brandywine dive site is located off the West Caicos Island. The dive site ranges in depth from about 45 to about 110 feet. The site features a fringing reef covered with closely packed coral heads. The wall begins at about 45 to 50 feet and is a sheer drop in most areas. In one section of the wall, the coral buttress extends outward and forms an extremely steep slope. For whatever reason, this fish had a keen interest in my camera. After swimming directly toward me, he passed very closely. That wouldn't be the only fish to swim directly at me and make very close passes. If you follow my Facebook posts and have seen the pictures from this dive, you probably know that I'm talking about the sharks. Back to the dive site description. This dive site features extremely large barrel sponges all along the wall. That's how the Brandywine dive site got its name. Specifically, there's one extremely large barrel sponge that's about 6 feet tall. It's shaped like a brandy snifter. It can be found in about 80 feet of water. This barrel sponge is large enough to hold a couple divers, but please don't try it. It's a couple of 100 years old. Barrel sponges grow very slowly and they break very easily. They really only grow about 1 inch a year. So as you can imagine, that 6-foot barrel sponge is probably really old. Here's another one of those close shark passes. As I mentioned in one of the earlier videos in this dive series, there was a tremendous amount of shark activity this week. Most of the sharks we'd see this week would be reef sharks, ranging in size from 6 to 10 feet. I say most because we would have a surprise encounter later on. I know we were seeing a variety of sharks and not just the same shark over and over, as when I went back and went through the photographs, you could see some of the sharks had distinctive markings. There was one in particular that had a peculiar look like a wound on its dorsal fin. The shark encounters weren't limited to just the wall, but they would be cruising off and along the wall and come up behind our dive group or come directly at the dive group, sometimes passing below or directly through. I had at least 3 distinct encounters on this particular dive where at least for a couple seconds the shark would swim directly at me. Those encounters, of course, make for the most excellent photographs. In addition to the sharks and the large barrel sponges, there was quite a variety of life on this dive site, as you can see here, and a variety of coral and growth. This appears to be a group of Creole wrasse, and you can see that large barrel sponge just to the right. Here we also have a Nassau grouper. The Nassau grouper range in size from 1 to 2 feet and can sometimes reach a maximum of 4 feet. They're usually found in depths of water ranging from 20 to 100 feet. If you look closely, you can see a black saddle spot on the base of its tail. This one's dorsal fin is folded down, but when they're folded up, you can see there are clear notches between forward spines. This would turn out to be one of my favorite dive sites here in the Turks and Caicos. This was the first dive of day 2 on this trip, and the dive started just a few minutes after 8 a.m. The dive lasted approximately 52 minutes. My dive computer recorded an average depth of 47 feet and a maximum depth of 88 feet. The water averaged a comfortable 82 degrees Fahrenheit. There goes a porcupine fish. He looked like he was on a mission, didn't want to hang around for pictures. Here's another little bit larger Nassau grouper. Trying to get a little bit closer, but this grouper is headed off in the other direction. I don't know if you could see, but the group of divers is off to my right, and they're a little bit deeper than me. I'd been having some ear challenges and wanted to stay a little bit higher than the rest of the group. As I mentioned, I did hit 88 feet at one point on this dive. I'd had some congestion just prior to this dive trip, and I thought that it had completely cleared up, but as I started the second day of diving, I could feel some of that congestion coming back. And that's something you ever want to experience as you're starting a dive trip. A lot going on this dive site, a lot up here on top of the reef. There was a lot going on the walls, and of course just the beautiful wall dive experience itself. Here it looks like we have a mixed school of French grunts, the more yellowfish, down to the right there, and some yellowtail snappers off to the top. The yellowtail snappers range in size from 1 to 2 feet, and you can reach a maximum of 2.5 feet, and they're usually found in depths of 10 to 60 feet, while the French grunts, the more yellowfish, range in size from 6 to 10 inches, reaching a maximum of about a foot, and are usually found in depths of 12 to 60 feet of water. Looks like we also have a parrotfish here, and I'm guessing, you can see the bottom of his red belly there, he's coming more into frame. I think that's a stoplight parrotfish. It could also be just a reef parrotfish in the initial phase, but based on those markings on the tail, I'm going to guess that that was a stoplight parrotfish. Here he is again in the initial phase. Curious, let me know if you think it's something else, if you think I got it wrong. Always happy to see those comments. Here we have another Nassau grouper passing by. Again, you can tell by that black spot. See it there on the tail. This one has its dorsal fin folded down as well, so you can't really see those notches, but that black spot on the tail is a dead giveaway that it's a Nassau grouper. Spinning around a little bit here because this lionfish caught my eye when I was looking at that Nassau grouper. I was hoping the grouper would slow down, but we'll check out this lionfish in the meantime. Great dive site. Thoroughly enjoying this one. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.